Now, I really should have known better than to trust a fucking Bush appointee to actually be a fucking conservative. I'm right-wing death squads fucking now. I am sick of this court, and apparently the Supreme Court has a neocon problem. It has a communist infestation with this Chief Justice Roberts, who sided with the liberals of the court in permitting ballots to be counted 3 days late after the election. In Pennsylvania, on Monday, Chief Justice John Roberts joined the 3 liberal justices on the Supreme Court to deny Republicans' request to put a hold on a lower court's order that would permit Pennsylvania ballots to be counted even if they arrived 3 days after the presidential election. Fuck this bullshit. This is unacceptable. And this should be contested. There should be federal troops in front of every fucking poll station. No, absolutely fucking not. This is unacceptable. This needs to be held by the Department of State rather than local governance going over this process. We need big guns from the administration to handle this if this is how Pennsylvania is going to allow their elections to be handled and rigged and abused. That is what this is. Make no mistake. The lower court ruled that if the ballots were postmarked by Election Day, they still had 3 days to be counted. Or they could be counted 3 times. Who the fuck knows what the hell they're doing with 3 extra days? The court's 4 more conservative justices, Clarence Thomas, Samuel Alito, Neil Gorsuch, and Brett Kavanaugh, would have halted a lower court ruling from taking effect, strongly suggesting that Chief Justice Roberts sided with the 3 liberal justices to form a 4-4 tie that left in place the lower court's decision. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court ruled in Democrats' favor last month on a number of mail-in voting rules, permitting voters to turn in ballots via drop box in addition to using the U.S. Postal Service, allowing ballots to be returned up to 3 days after Election Day and blocking a Republican effort to allow partisan poll watchers to be stationed in counties where they do not live. Okay, so no fucking accountability whatsoever. No. Roll in the goddamn troops on this shit. If you're not... Oh my god. So, you can't even watch the polls. You can't even supervise and make sure that there's no funny business going on. The Washington Post reported, adding, the state court said such ballots must be counted if they are postmarked by November 3rd, and even if no postmark is discernible unless a preponderance of the evidence shows that the ballots were mailed after Election Day. So, mail them whenever the fuck you want. I mean, holy shit. Well, oh my god, we just found 50,000 ballots 4 days later that were postmarked on November 3rd. Oh my... It's a miracle for the Democrats. Holy shit. This is fucking insane. This is absolutely fucking insane. And it's because we actually believed that President Bush was going to nominate a real conservative to the Supreme Court. It burns, guys. It burns. The state Senate Republican caucus soon after filed a legal brief to obtain an emergency stay from the U.S. Supreme Court. The state request that the Pennsylvania GOP filed stated, in a year where there is very real possibility that the final presidential election results hinges on Pennsylvania, The new rules imposed by the decision of the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania, a body elected in partisan elections, could destroy the American public's confidence in the electoral system as a whole. Well, that's not fucking wrong. In the stay request, the Republican Party of Pennsylvania stated, this court should adhere to the rule it set forth earlier this year. Like the district court in the Republican National Committee, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court has created a strong likelihood that ballots cast or mailed after the scheduled election day will count in the upcoming general election, in which millions of Pennsylvanians will cast their votes for president and U.S. representative. This is not a mere hypothetical concern. In the April 2020 Wisconsin primary, many ballots arrived with no postmarks, 2 postmarks, or unclear postmarks, and after a ballot mailed as late as November 5th, in Pennsylvania has more than a 98% chance of being delivered by the Pennsylvania Supreme Court's judicial received by deadline of November 6th, 2020. Thus, just as in Republican National Committee, this court should stay that order insofar as it, quote, fundamentally alters the nature of the election by mandating a non-postmarked ballots presumption that allows counting of ballots cast or mailed after Election Day. In other words, we all smell a fucking rat. It smells like a dirty rat. It's stanky, it's dirty, it's dingy, and everyone knows that it's a fucking rat. This reeks. And Chief Justice Roberts, the quote-unquote moderate bullshit, is still holding water for the establishment. That's what this is. He's holding water for the establishment, and the sooner he is removed from his position, the better. I've said what I said.